Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job?
Be like everybody else.
Or will you dare to do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher.
You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess?
What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals...
25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
The following program was provided by an independent producer, solely responsible for its content. The views, information, or opinions expressed during this program series are solely those of the host and guests appearing on the program and do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Brainstorm, bringing great minds and ideas together, exploring a wide variety of opportunities, achieving academic excellence, using the latest technology, government's impact, preparing for 21st century careers, parenting and health issues, topics shaping tomorrow. Brainstorm with Lisa Willever, bringing great minds and ideas together.
Welcome to Brainstorm. I'm Lisa Willever, and today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, writing. Before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about our topic. For some kids, facing a big, thick book can be the scariest thing in the world. For other kids, it can be a simple blank piece of paper. That's right, a simple blank piece of paper can stop kids in their tracks. But what is it that makes writing so stressful? And more importantly, how do we make the process enjoyable? Yep, it's really that simple. If we want kids to write more, they need to enjoy it. Luckily, resources for parents and teachers are available, and they can help make writing more exciting. Joining me today, I have educator Linda Biondi and Dr. Heather Casey from Rider University. I want to thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. I know you both have so much to add to this topic, and you know, Linda, I've known you for a while. Writing is one of my passions, something I'm always happy to talk about. So before we begin, why don't you tell me your backgrounds?
Well, I am a retired teacher. I was teaching 41 years total, from preschool to 5th grade.
Just 41, huh?
Just 41. And right now I am supervising student teachers at Rider University.
Oh, that sounds so exciting.
So I'm continuing my education path.
So your retirement lasted, what, 30 minutes?
Not quite.
Not quite. Okay, that's as I expected.
It kind of just eased into it.
And Heather, tell us about your background.
So I began as a middle school language arts teacher, and from there, once I started teaching middle school students, I realized I had a lot of students who really still needed to learn a lot about reading and writing. And I loved reading and writing, but I felt like I didn't know as much as I needed to help them become readers and writers. So I went back to school and became a reading specialist. And the more time I spent in school, the more I realized I still had a lot to learn. So I kept on going, and my path changed a little bit, and I earned my doctorate at Rutgers. And while at Rutgers, I started working with pre-service teachers. And then, I guess about 10 years ago, I had an opportunity to come to Rider full-time after I finished my degree, and I've been working with pre-service and practicing teachers there. And part of my work there involves working with the National Writing Project, which I love, as well as supporting our pre-service and graduate students.
Well, you know what, that's wonderful. And, you know, writing over the years has really evolved. And, you know, colonial days, that was like, it was the entertainment. They didn't have all the things kids have today. Right now, writing has so much competition, so it's very challenging sometimes to instill in children why it's so important. Sometimes they equate, if I don't want to be a writer, why do I care? Why do I need to write? So just tell me some of the things that you've seen, some of the changes you've noticed with students, you know, especially you've been in the classroom 41 years. So what have you seen with regard to writing?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because 41 years is a lot of,
Yeah.
lot of years. I see kids maybe, the media is taken over, so kids are, spending more time watching video games, playing video games, watching TV. But I think the inherent desire to write is still there.
Well, that's
they
good
just
news.
they need to know that it's fun.
And you know what, I think you've really, and that was something I planned on talking about later, but since you bring it up, I think we want kids to write, but we don't recognize that they need to enjoy writing it. It's like anybody. If you want them to do something, there has to be some kind of element of fun to it. And especially when you're talking about children. On the NikkiFifth.com website, we have something that we do called random writing. And we literally give children one object and we tell them to write about it. And the first 10 questions they ask are how long, how many paragraphs, how many sentences, what are the rules, but what if I don't do it right? And we, it takes it's like letting a hostage go free and they keep like trying to crawl back. We're like, no, just write. And the whole point is to forget the rules and just work on that creativity. Let your get used to talking to your imagination and listening and just putting it down. You can fix it later. So I think maybe the distractions are kind of hard. How do you do it with teachers? How do you, tell them, get out there and teach these kids to read in spite of all the multimedia?
I think we can do it because of the multimedia too in some ways,
okay.
which is an interesting
Can't beat them,
thing
join
to
them.
see. Right.
Okay.
Because I think now our kids are needing to learn to read and write in so many different forms.
Okay.
So I think the desire is there, but now we have the opportunity, for example, at our youth writing camp, sometimes the kids put together what we conceive as a traditional book, and other times it's sort of a multi-dimensional book where it's something done online, where there's moving images and fixed images. But at the heart of what they're doing is taking the word and exploring its meaning in all of the different ways that they know how. And I think one of the things I've had to learn as a teacher is to be a student of these students, because one of the things that I see many children are quite proficient at are the tools, right? They come at us with all of these different tools and things that they can use. But what we can help them with is, all right, how do we take a look at this and see what message are we trying to convey? The same question we asked when all we have is a pencil and a paper, we can ask when they're looking at a tablet and a Chromebook and a Google Classroom or whatever different dimension they're working, and help them move in that direction.
That is such an exciting way to look at it. And I think for especially young teachers who are coming up, they're really face to face with these obstacles because children have so many distractions and text messaging, the age of abbreviating everything. I think a year didn't know who Ty was. And then finally I asked somebody, who's Ty? And they're like, it's thank you. Like, was thank you that long to write? But this is the new mindset where things are quicker and faster. But I guess if we can capitalize on all that multimedia and make the writing come alive, because that's what it sounds like they're doing.
But Heather, you were talking about the camp, and it's all choice.
Yes,
and when we give the students choice in their writing, it makes such an impact because it's the old 5-paragraph essay where you have the introduction, you have the conclusion, you have the 3 supporting paragraphs about specific topics. It just doesn't cut it anymore. They have to give them their choice because they buy into it. They want to write it. We have Genius Hour where kids work on projects that
You said Genius Hour?
Genius Hour.
I love that. All right, so tell me about Genius Hour.
In a nutshell, it's kids working on something that's passionate to them. And a lot of schools have that. They may devote like part of the, a certain day to working on the projects, and the kids, and it's not just like a free form, okay, here you go, you can do whatever you want, but it's almost kids have to write a perspective about what they're doing. And I had Genius Hour with my students when I was teaching, and several boys were into sneakers, and they decided they were going to make a new sneaker, and the sneaker was going to be this, and it had to have this kind of form. And so they spent time researching. So you get your reading in there, you get your writing. They wrote to the companies, several of the companies, I won't mention their names, and they did get answers back. So it's all about giving the students the opportunity to develop their passion.
You nailed it. You said passion, and I think that is, as a writer myself, I've written 27 books, and I couldn't write the same way sometimes we teach kids to write. I couldn't sit at a desk and do it. You know, I usually sit on a recliner and I have my laptop. You know, same thing. I don't follow all the standard rules, and most of the writers that I know don't do that. So I think giving kids flexibility and allowing them to, you know, it's writing. It's one of the most creative things you can do to not restrict it as much. I think that's brilliant. So now you're both involved with the National Writing Project. Do you want to start and tell me what it's about? Because it sounds like a project. People need to know it is much more than a project.
It is, yes.
It is,
yes. I think the National Writing Project is a national project of which there are multiple, over 200, I think, local sites. Ryder is proud to host one of the local sites and has been since before our time.
Yeah,
since
so over 25 years, I think.
I think
isn't
it's 20, or maybe closer to 20, but a long time.
So Ryder University has been with the National Project, Writing Project. Okay.
So we have a site, we call it the National Writing Project at Ryder. When it started back in 2000, I think, it started as the Trenton Area Writing Project.
Oh, okay.
And predominantly focused on a relationship with the Trenton School District, but then branched out. And I couldn't talk about the National Writing Project at Ryder without mentioning Dr. Carol Brown.
Tell us about Carol.
Who is wonderful in so many ways and continues to work with us in the project. She's a retired faculty member from Ryder, former dean at Ryder, and really wanted, in relationship with the teachers with whom she worked, to bring up an opportunity for community to grow. And I think the fact that the National Writing Project as a national organization actually started in 1973, but at Ryder it began because 3 teachers came to Carol and said, hey, we think we should do this. And Carol said, okay, let's do it.
So she's a yes person. I like people who approve ideas.
You don't say no to him.
Yeah,
you don't.
Time for no people.
And since then has been just about that. It's been driven by teachers' ideas, teachers' insight, things that we see that kids need to learn and develop. And it's a real community. It's a community of educators who care about kids, who care about kids' literacy learning. And people are involved, sometimes just drop in for one of our sessions, and then we have wonderful participants, like our leadership board, of whom Linda is one of the members of our leadership board, who have stayed with it. I think you started at the project before I did.
It was, yeah, and I was offered in the district as a summer, invitational summer institute where you had to apply, you were interviewed, and I was accepted along with another colleague, Carol Hotchkiss, and it was 18 days in the summer, intense days from 9 to like 3:30, and writing with other teachers, doing a demo lesson in writing. It was intense, but you came out with such a passion and understanding, because we understood what kids were going through.
Yeah.
And I want to show you, I brought my prop.
Oh,
and
I love props.
This was my first Writer's
Marble
Notebooks and the
composition
Writer's
book.
Project. And after I left the Writing Project that summer, I brought my ideas back into the classroom, and this went with me everywhere. And when you were talking about how do you get kids into writing, is you write with them, and you show them your passion. And I actually brought this to Barnes & Noble, and where R.L. Stein was, and had it autographed.
Look at
Which
you.
my kids thought this was the best
Of
thing in the world,
course.
because it's just pushing them. And I also showed them like how I grew as a writer from the beginning. I mean, you can see.
And look
it's
how
kind
worn
of
out it is.
worn.
I mean, that just.
And that's how, I mean, if you want kids to write, you have to write with them. You have to, I carry journals with me all over. So I think I got off topic, but.
No. I mean, everything we're talking about is about writing, and the fact that you shared the experience and the journey with your students, you modeled it for them, and you gave them an example of what they could be doing. I am so excited to learn more about what the Writing Project is. We're going to come back in a moment. We're going to take a short break, and we will be back in just a moment with more Brainstorm and Linda Biondi and Dr. Heather Casey. We'll be right back.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like, that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries, or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
And we're back with more Brainstorm, and again, I'm joined by Linda Biondi and Dr. Heather Casey, and we're talking about writing, but in particular, the National Writing Project. So I went on the website, and I saw that it says, writing is essential to communication, learning, and citizenship. It is the currency of the new workplace and global economy. Writing helps us convey ideas, solve problems, and understand our changing world. Writing is a bridge to the future. Now, first of all, whoever wrote that, A+. Give the National Writing Project an A+, because that was fantastic. But it's so true. I mean, it really captures everything that is writing. So in spite of movies and video games and apps and texting and 140 character things, at the end of the day, it really all does come back to writing. And I know a lot of kids will say to me, I do writing workshops all over, and kids will come up and say, why do I have to do this? I don't want to be a writer. I like reading books, but I don't want to be a writer. And I'll say to them, you know, my husband is a battalion chief in the fire department. And you know what he does every day when he works? About 12 reports. He has to write all these reports, and he has to learn a certain style of writing, and your teachers have to write letters, and so you don't have to be a writer for writing to be valuable. And then I try to explain to them that it's so great just as a creative outlet, and it's amazing when you get them started, they get hooked. It's just kind of getting over that obstacle. What do you find are the hardest things with students when it comes to getting started? Is finding a topic, you know, or is it putting yourself out there?
Both. Finding the topic, it depends on the student, really. Finding the topic, some students need to have that little toolbox of some ideas that they could refer to. You know, we start out with writing territories where you talk about, you have kids think about what are important to them, sports and parents and movies and video games, and that's how kind of they get their ideas, and they get, you know, they start writing, because if you teach them that just writing a list is fine, because that generates an idea, which generates an idea, which generates an idea.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so it's.
You know, when I visit schools, it's the #1 question I get. Kids want to know, am I afraid that I will run out of ideas? They're so worried about me, poor little things. And I tell them when I visit their schools, I run out of a lot of things in life. I run out of bread, milk. I have teenagers. I run out of a lot of things. Money. And I said, almost ran out of gas a couple times, but I will never run out of ideas. I said, I run out of time. I wish I had time to write all of my ideas, but I get my ideas from my life. And it's almost like when you say that to them, like, I can write about what happened to me. I'm like, absolutely, that's where you find the best ideas. And then you can tweak it. I mean, if you're writing fiction, use something that happened and tweak it. So I think sometimes giving them like almost permission to pick a topic they want. Sometimes they're just so afraid to take that first step.
And there's nothing wrong with sketching.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they get their ideas. And we forget about that. You know, we forget that, you know, some kids do your comic. That is like, so many kids want to do a, can I do it? You don't need permission. Yeah, do it.
Absolutely. I wish you were my teacher.
The best part is when you're having writing and you have to go, but it's lunch. we don't want to go. Can we stay? You know, can we do? Can I take my notebook with me to recess? Like that?
Can I take my notebook? Isn't that like the greatest thing to hear when you're a teacher? Can I take my notebook? Now, did you have some input here?
I think also just having access to great books. There are so many.
Like Nikki Fifth.
Like Nikki Fifth. Oh,
wow, you guys are awesome.
But there are so many wonderful books out there. K-12. You know, I tend to work a lot with adolescents, so you know, the adolescent literacy. Oh my goodness, books like yours. So many that are just you can just grab off the shelf and fall into love with reading. And when you do that, then you have an anchor of how to approach writing. You know, I'm just thinking of several students who were and are avid readers, and you could tell what genre they were into by the way their writing was evolving, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, if we go back to, I know we're in a framework right now in education where we're thinking hard about standards and assessments, and we always should be. But one of the things I always talk with our pre-service teachers about is that if you scale back what's being asked of you and look at the heart of what you want students to learn. Linda talked about researching, the great things she did with her students with Genius Hour. Research skills is a part of standards, it's a part of all curriculum. What that did was motivate kids to learn that. So I think we have to be really careful as educators to look hard at what is that the core of what we are asking students to learn, because seldom do standards tell you what you have to teach. They tell you what it is that you want students to walk away with. And then that opens up opportunities like classrooms, like what Linda's describing.
And you're able to integrate passion into what's expected. So, you know, they tell you what you have to do. They don't say you have to be bored doing it.
Right.
They've never, you know, they've never not yet added the rule that you must be bored. I know for many kids, you know, they don't see all the benefits of writing and they don't see all the uses of writing. But I know you have some programs with the National Writing Project, including college, career, community writing. So I saw different areas where this National Writing Project really shows kids, but not just the kids, the teachers. I mean, because really at the end of the day, you're an organization that works with the teachers who then bring it back? Is that?
Primarily, though we have very recently reintroduced a youth writing camp in the summer. So we do look for opportunities to work directly with children.
And is that around the country, do they do that?
It depends on site.
We just found it very positive feedback from the students that are taking it and coming back to it.
Do you hear from the students, teachers, you know, about what happens when they are done with the camp and they get back into their classrooms?
We hear more from the families.
From families, okay.
Because they're coming back.
Right. Because they're coming back.
Well, the fact that they're coming back is pretty impressive. I mean, that speaks volumes right there. Now, let me ask you this: assessments. There's a lot of emphasis right now on assessment and just in general. And it's very hard for teachers to assess writing at times because it is so subjective and because sometimes teachers have been taught very strict, rigid structures. How do you help teachers to be able to fairly assess something that's so subjective?
Well, I want to go back to your original, the question before this, because I think it connects. You asked, do we work a lot with teachers? And while it's true, we do have a slice that works with kids. The majority of our work, I would say, is supporting teachers. And so Linda and Carol run a summer institute every summer and continuity sessions, which get at the heart of questions like that. And I think, and I'll ask Linda to add more to this, but I think a lot of what happens so successfully is because teachers are invested and involved in studying themselves as writers. They then are better able to take a step back and say, okay, how is it that I can help students evaluate what they are effective with and what they're having difficulty with, whether it's through conferencing, et cetera. And that's as a result of the kinds of programming, I think, that happens at our local site.
But I think the assessment it builds on a lot of things. Kids work with each other, so we have peer assessments. They work with a peer partner when they're writing. We all have an assessment where you know what the end product should be looking like. So working with rubrics, even designing rubrics with students so they know exactly.
Designing the rubric with the students. That sounds almost revolutionary in education right now. It really does. It's almost as, what we talk a lot on the show about how important it is in all different areas of education for teacher input, because teachers are the ones who are there every day with the kids. No one has more intuitive firsthand knowledge than teachers. So we want them involved in policy and in structure, when they're creating curriculum. But what you're talking about is including the students in a portion of it, which I think is really something that as a whole we should focus on, because they have to live within the confines of what's in those rubrics. And if they can give you some insight and help, mold it to something that makes it more enticing for them, then we can lift their enthusiasm.
Absolutely, you just said it all.
Did I just say that all?
It's buying into it, and
Yeah.
it's ownership. Again, it's the ownership of I helped create this, and now I know what I'm looking for. And it's not like a rubric where I have to have so many capital letters and whatever.
Yeah.
It's knowing what the topic is, and and so. That's it.
And I think it's like anything. If you asked me to change a tire right now, I would probably get on my phone and try to call for help, and I would be really shy away because I don't know what I'm doing. And you can translate that to writing. If a student's not confident in how to actually go about doing it, they're going to back off. They're not going to put everything into it. You won't feel the passion. They won't be excited. So I think everything that you're doing to better prepare teachers to address the students' needs, and then even including students, I think that's wonderful. So are you ready to play Brainstorm?
Sure.
Okay.
boy.
It's not the most exciting name of a game.
Trick questions.
We got a little lazy on the name. It's called Brainstorm the Game. And what we do is, in the time-honored tradition of brainstorming, we actually we go over 8 ideas. If they're good ideas, we keep them, and if they're not, you get to ball them up and throw them in the garbage can. Sound good?
I love that.
Okay. All right. Listen carefully.
If I was still teaching, I'd bring it back to my classroom.
Would you? Oh, see, I love that. Maybe you know what? We have viewers all over the country. Maybe in all these classrooms, people are throwing colored paper. Yeah, no trademark. I'm not a businesswoman. All right. Idea 1: writing has many benefits that include self-expression and stress relief.
Oh yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Number 2: only those wishing to become writers should focus on writing. All right.
You want to garbage that one up?
There you go. I'm gonna help you out here. I'll make like
I'm not losing.
You are the first person to ever dunk. Many careers require significant writing.
Absolutely.
Okay, even those they don't expect. Students can only excel in writing or math.
No.
That's yours.
Let's see. 2 points.
I think you girls were practicing.
I had it in my mind.
Reading makes better writers.
Absolutely.
In fact, when I speak with other authors, one of the things we always say, kids want to know, what do you do to become a better writer? And our answer is always reading. Yeah. The more you read, the better you will write. And they don't always see that. They say, don't have to practice writing. Well, that too. But the reading, like you said, you find your own voice by checking out other voices. Number 6, keeping a journal is a waste of time. Okay, don't throw your prop at me. Okay, there's the journal.
Your journal with
Here,
you
keep them out. Let's put them out. Okay, ball it up.
And you should know that Linda always, because when she runs programs for us, often her gift to teachers is
a journal.
But the journal has to speak to you.
Yes, it does.
That's true.
You can't just, yes, it has to.
Okay, we're going to do the last 2 very quickly. Number 7, parents can squeeze writing into their child's day a little at a time. Okay, we'll keep it. And children should be forced to write 1 hour each day.
No forcing.
You got it, that one.
All right.
All right. We want them to enjoy it. So I want to thank Dr. Heather Casey and Linda Biondi. I had so much fun talking to you about writing. And I want to thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next Brainstorm.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help,